Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Leah Patterson and I am the coordinator at the Rocket Lab here. And if this is your first time joining us, first let me tell you a little bit about what Rocket Lab is. Rocket Lab is a entrepreneurial resource hub here at CALS Library, which is a partnership between CALS, the CALS Library System, and ABE, Advancing Black Entrepreneurship. And what we do is we provide resources, access to capital, access to programs and technical assistance for under-resourced entrepreneurs here in our city. And for us, that means the Latinx community, the Black community, women, and veterans. And so this particular program, Beyond the Idea, is part of what we offer, and is one of my favorite programs. We've had some really great conversations with some really awesome entrepreneurs, and I'm always excited to speak to the next entrepreneur. And this program is basically your opportunity, you all being the audience, your opportunity to learn from, be inspired by, and ask questions of entrepreneurs who have done it, who have started their businesses, have gotten out there and have learned and experienced some triumphs and experienced some challenges. And this is just a really great informal conversation with these entrepreneurs about, how they've grown and what we can glean from them, what wisdom we can take along our roads in our particular entrepreneurial journeys. So really excited to welcome Miss Sara Hurst to our program. She has a really interesting, awesome business. I love her website. It's called Bella's Kitchen. And I was really excited and just interested, just because my own personal journey, about how her business started and kind of what the impetus was. So I'm not going to tell her story. I'm going to let her tell her story. So yes, welcome, Sara, and tell us a little bit about yourself and then about Bella's Kitchen.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Leah. So, God, where do you want me to start? I guess, let me start with, I am originally from El Salvador. I moved here about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe it's been 12 years ago. And I went to UCA. I worked at Whole Foods Market, which is how you and I met. I used to do
Yes.
marketing for Whole Foods. And as you know, Whole Foods, the the education that you receive there and the training that I got there while working there, it reinforced my desire to, cook healthy, worry more about wellness. And I think, first of all, I've always loved cooking. And I'll always like cooking clean food, not really adding anything that's not whole foods, as in,
Mhm.
nothing with like preservatives or additives. So that's a little bit about my background on how I started cooking and kind of like how I wanted to cook healthier and make better food choices, eating choices. Um, and then, well, I moved 10 years from that, I've worked in marketing, but I became pregnant. 2018, I had my first daughter, Isabella.
Mhm.
And it's the first time mom, you read about everything, right? I mean, like you read about like all the books on when you're pregnant, what you should do, what you shouldn't do.
Yes.
And then for the most part, the doctor is helping you and telling you, okay, yeah, you should do this, you should do that. But when she turned 4 months old, we have a great doctor, but he said, okay, she's ready for solids. I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And he gave me a placemat of a big baby food brand. And basically it said, start with oats, like the oatmeal, and then go move into a banana and then an apple, and then just continue introducing. But that's all it said. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So, you're thinking about this little fragile baby who's only used to milk, and you're supposed to introduce them to solids, but it's okay. So, what do I do? So, I started researching, and I came across this method called baby led feeding. So, it encourages babies to eat food. That's, well, first of all, they're all whole foods. You just encourage them to eat different foods. For example, you would introduce sweet potatoes one day, then the next day you would do sweet peas, and then the next day, you would just add them up. But the difference is that you don't puree it. You just chop it in
Mm,
little pieces so they can try it, and then it helps their motor skills as well because they're having to grab it themselves. You're not feeding
mhm.
them. They decide how much they want to eat. So then when they're done eating, you'll know that they're full. Because the problem that happens sometimes is if you're feeding your baby and you're pushing that spoon to them, they might be full already, but you'll continue to feed them. So that,
Yeah.
can lead to overweight because you're not teaching them that when you're full, you stop eating. You know, they
Mm,
see the plate and it's like, oh, well, let's continue eating because I have this plate.
yeah.
Um, so it was a really interesting method, and I started making all of her meals, all the snacks, all the food, and I made the math, and it was, let's see, it was 5 meals per day if you count the snacks, times seven, that would be 35 different dishes that you would have to make. And
Yeah.
yeah, so and you can go to a grocery store and you will not find fresh baby food. You'll
Okay.
only find the pureed, which is why I had to cook it myself. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a service like that? There's a couple of services that have it online, and you receive the meals frozen. But I really wanted fresh foods, and I wanted to encourage her to eat different foods so she would not become a picky eater. And
Okay.
that's a little bit how Bell's Kitchen started, because it started thinking, okay, well, this could be something, it could be a business. I had a lot of moms. I'm sure that there's, while you're pregnant, it feels like everybody else is pregnant, because so many people that are either like pregnant or have just had their babies. And I had my friends come to the house and try different foods, and they thought the same thing, like this would be a really cool business. But at the same time, I had a baby. It was not something that I was like, okay, yeah, let's start a business today. I'm not sleeping,
Yeah.
let's start a business. So
Yeah.
it was just an idea that kept becoming this snowball where, tell my husband every day, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was this and that, and anyway, with that back and forth, uh, it happened for about a year. And then
Mhm.
finally, January 2020, I decided to go ahead and start really being serious about it and pursuing the business.
Okay, wow. And so there's concept which I'm sure you're familiar with as a marketing kind of, with your marketing background, like this concept of proof of concept. And that's what I was going to ask you, like, how did you, know that, like, okay, this is something that this is more than just something that's helpful for me and my family, but I actually think this could be a business.
Yeah, what I did the most, I think, is at first I didn't tell anyone. The only person that knew was my husband. I didn't tell
Uh-huh.
a soul because and I think that happens when you have an idea too. You feel like somebody else will think it's stupid, you
Of
know?
course, yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't tell anyone, but I do like hosting people at my house a lot. And every time they would come, they would bring their kids. I would make a recipe of what I would think I would like to sell in the business, and I would like watch those kids be like, "Will they eat it? Will they eat it?" And the moms,
Ah,
and kind of brought it up as an idea, like, "Hey, or they would ask me like, 'Oh, that's really good. Where did you get it?' And I would say, 'No, well, I made it,' and I was like, talking to friends and asking them questions, without them knowing that I'm starting a business, right? It was more
yeah.
wanting to know, is it just my need, or is it somebody else's needs, and the more I talked to moms, the more it came up that, mostly for a working mom, it's really hard to make a meal for a toddler before they have to go to bed. It's really
Yeah.
hard to come home and make and you're so exhausted, and having to have something convenient, and even with not toddlers, with kids that are a little bit older that are going to different activities after school, is because you're having to drive around. I mean, the only thing that's convenient is Chick-fil-A, McDonald's. You know what I mean? And as
Yeah.
much as they try to have healthy meals in there, there's so much grilled chicken that they'll eat.
True, true.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember, I mean, my mom was great, but I
Yeah.
remember we had lots of McDonald's stops.
Mhm.
And I know that.
And and it happens, and I think it came most about, I know that as moms, you just get so much guilt of anything. I mean, either you're working too much or you're not working or you're not there with them enough. Or there's always going to be something. And same thing comes with eating. It's become this thing where it's my kid's not eating or I am not feeding them appropriately, and I think there's also a balance. You can't expect a kid to eat, perfect 24/7. No one does, I mean, and
Yeah.
if you do, then well, great for you. But for most people, they don't.
Yeah.
So I think I focus more about trying to provide healthy choices that are convenient and that, they also, won't break the bank, so.
Yeah. Because, and I think that's another concern also is the affordability. So how did you kind of do that type of research also, or, that type of, I guess, market research, and how can I make this affordable? How can I make this, worth my time? But, because typically Whole Foods, we think that, Whole Foods costs more and that cooking costs more.
Yes, yes. So, I try to look at recipes that would include different types of food, but nothing that was too out there. Because you also have to make sure that it's food that people will eat, kids will eat, right? Because
Yes.
you're trying to appeal to also to kids that already picky, right? If we're talking about kids that are a little bit older. So there's been a lot of editing of the recipes, like, what could work. And the more at the beginning, it was me literally sending surveys to my friends or people that had tried the food and, asking them like, what would you like to see? Do you think this is too expensive? Would you, in out of all these focus groups, we first started with toddler meals and big kid meals, which is the difference is just the sizes, right?
Mhm.
But after doing all the surveys, I had moms saying, hey, I would like to have lunch boxes for my kids because they don't have a microwave at school. It needs to be something that's cold that they can eat, but it's something that will fill them and they'll eat it and it's something that's good. So that's how the lunch boxes started. It's having to think about, okay, what foods could kids eat that are healthy, that is not super expensive either,
Yeah.
and that they don't need to reheat, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
So
good. So, yeah, what are all your products that you have right now? All your services or products?
yeah, so we just launched a completely different menu yesterday, actually. uh,
Very cool.
yeah, so we have lunch boxes for kids, and we also so out of the lunch boxes, a lot of moms, and not even just moms, just like people, adults were asking me, "Can I eat this?" I'm like, "You can eat anything I make. Anything I make, it's food. It's not like just because it's marketed for kids, it doesn't mean that it's for kids." But I think a lot of people were wondering like, will it be weird if I eat a lunchbox? So, so
Yeah.
they're asking me, are you gonna make food for parents? Because I would love to have something like the lunchboxes. So we came up with the family meals.
Ah, okay.
And I started doing family meals for 2 to 3 servings because that usually is for the parents and maybe for the kids. And then we had 4 to 6 if it was a bigger family. So right now I have 2 to 3. This is a really good size. Either, it's usually the parents eating or the parents and a kid. And then we've added smoothie cups too. So you
Very
can get
cool.
yeah, you can get a smoothie and it'll come with all the ingredients in there. You can add collagen or you can add green vibrance, which includes probiotics and all these great veggies that if your kid doesn't eat veggies through the day, like that's a hack that I love is, add to the smoothie because they love smoothies. You won't taste the spinach, nothing, right?
Yeah.
So then that's kind of how like the smoothie came up because I also had parents saying, "Hey, would you consider making breakfasts?" So we added breakfast bowls too. So we have the smoothies, breakfast bowls, lunch boxes, and family meals.
Oh, wow, that is very cool.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of been you responding to your customers, how
Yeah.
you've grown your offerings.
Yeah. Because I think, I think again, it's me wanting to be the service to be a service of parents that need it, but also, keep the affordability and all that. And as much as I love the kids and the toddler meals, because of the packaging, it gets expensive if you have more than one kid.
Okay.
because then you're buying like 3 meals, and the packaging is what really, kills the cost sometimes because,
Yeah.
and you have so much, then it was like, okay, well, what if we make family meals and then like the kids can eat too? And honestly, that's something that with research and trying it with my own daughter is, if you eat with your family at the table together, she's more apt of eating everything rather than just, you know, if you just serve her by herself, she just doesn't feel part of it and she won't eat as much.
I feel like that's a really interesting point. Kind of, so in a way, you could say your business is also kind of encouraging that family bonding, that family time, also a little bit.
Yes, yes, and that's something that so I have 2 stepkids that are older. One is 19 and the other one is 22. And we've had their friends over, I've I've been a part of the family for almost 6 years now. So 5, 6 years. So it's been a lot of years of having their friends over, having them for dinner. And something I've noticed too is that, we would have dinner as a family and many of them were like, oh yeah, we don't do this. We just do takeout, and
Wow.
so it's something that I always really like too, and it's something that I want to be able to share with others, and sometimes it's out of time, you don't have time to make a meal or everybody's, doing different timings, but if you already have a meal that's ready and all you can do is put it in the oven or put it in the microwave and you can still have that family time.
Oh, I love that. I love businesses that, there's that practical, but then there's that, there's more to it than just the practical
Yeah.
aspect. That is
Yes.
really cool. So I have a quick question. Just again, I'm just intrigued by your business. So with the family meals,
Mhm.
so there's because I think one of the questions too that people have maybe, oh, nutritionally, is just this for my toddler? Is this like set up in a nutritional way just for my toddler? And like you said, it's not really that, it's more a portion. It's more about the amount that because it's all healthy.
Yeah, so, we don't cook with any refined sugars. We try to make it as gluten-free as possible. And some recipes are not gluten-free, but if you leave it in the comments like, "Hey, I need this gluten-free or I need this dairy-free," we work with customers before where we'll change, according to their diet. Um,
Mhm.
I don't believe in counting calories. I think if you eat good food that, hasn't been overly processed, it's not fried, it's all
Mhm.
fresh food that has been cooked um, in a healthy way. I think that there's no need to count calories. But now we will provide with the labels that you get. You get all of the ingredients that are on that meal, how to heat it up, and you'll get the nutritional facts as well.
Okay, very cool. So kind of I have another question just in terms of like the challenges in growing your business, and taking it from an idea to, okay, I'm going to really do this, and then even expanding it.
That was hard. So when Isabella turned 1, that's when I really thought, okay, I want to do this business. So this was October 2018. No, 2019, October 2019. And I was traveling a lot for work. So I was in Vegas 1 week. Then 2 weeks later, I was in Brooklyn. And then later, I was in San Francisco.
Yeah,
But
and
the
you still have a
reason,
full-time job,
yes,
right? Yeah.
but the reason that's important is because as having a daughter that was a daycare, she had RSV 1 week, and then I had to leave, and then,
Mhm.
had to leave her and had to do, and then I thought, okay, well, adding a business to this would be really hard at this moment, so I'm not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then 2020, January, you start thinking your year with all your goals or everything you want to do for that year. And I told my husband, I said, if I don't do this, I'm going to really regret it. I'm going to be really upset at myself because I didn't pursue it. It'll be, when you regret it's never good when you regret
Yeah.
something like that. So, my husband was very supportive, and he's really the finance person in the family. So he helped me do a pro forma and look at what really the cost would be. And by
Okay.
that, we didn't really know what all the costs were. I mean, this is like, as somebody who hasn't worked in the kitchen, we thought, okay, oh, this is what it would cost. Okay. And he was like, are you okay with like losing all that because it's our part of your savings, And I said, yeah, I mean, we'll we'll try it,
Yeah.
we'll see if it works.
Yeah.
So then from that, I really started pursuing it. I looked at kitchens, I ended up getting some space at the art kitchen. And
Okay.
John over there was really extremely nice. I mean, he's so knowledgeable and helped me like, figure out which permits I needed. You know, being part of that kitchen, you have to be safe serve compliance, and you have to do certification to make sure that not only you're cooking everything safely, but you're making sure that you're not cross contaminating, and all of
Hmm.
that, all of those things that you probably don't do in your own kitchen, but you have to do it
Hmm.
when you're cooking for somebody else. Getting food insurance and all that. And then on the marketing side, I had a photo shoot with all the kids eating the food, which also was terrifying because these were like real offerings I was gonna make. And kids
Yeah.
are not gonna lie. They're not gonna be like, "Ah, I'm gonna smile eating this I don't like.
Yes.
So thankfully, I don't know if it was my lucky stars or what, but they all loved it, and like the photo shoot was great. Go back to March, it was mid March 2020. I'm literally eating with Little Rock family. We're talking about the launch and what's gonna go, and things that we can do with it. And then I got an email from my husband, and he said they reported the first case of coronavirus.
Wow.
And we're having lunch, and we're like, well, I may have to postpone it. What do you think? Like 2 weeks? And they're like, yeah, I think 2 weeks will be fine. It'll be no big deal. So,
Mm.
go back to like April, and like, hey, I don't know that this is ready yet, but the more I was being home and talking with friends that had kids, everybody was losing it for a little bit, and we didn't know that that was just the beginning, right?
Yes. Yes.
um, so, um, so I thought to myself, you know what? I already have all the permits. I paid for all the stuff. I have all the pictures. I have a website almost done. If I don't do this now, then I'm gonna have to redo everything. And at the same time, this could be like a test kitchen. If nobody were to order, then I can still just like try it out and build from that.
Yeah.
But thankfully people did order, so that was good. And it was funny because my first try run of the kitchen, I just did like a lot of samples for like different friends and people I knew that had kids, and I just was wanting to get their feedback. But then they
Yeah.
started posting it on their Facebook and like tagging the website because they knew what the website was going to be. And anyway, so I launched maybe like 2 weeks before I thought I would launch. Well, that date changed several times, so I don't know if it was,
Yeah.
but my point is, it was not the perfect launch that I would have imagined, having people over and anything like that.
Yeah.
It's, um, I had to transform a lot of what the ideas were,
Hmm.
and couldn't do samples as I would have wanted. I
Yeah.
took, when we started doing, the lunch boxes, I would take like samples to Send Studio, and I would just leave them there, all
Okay.
packaged individually, so like people would like grab them as they left. Um,
Yeah.
so it was a lot of morphing because of this weird year.
Yeah.
So then, but then getting out of it helped me a lot into try to figure out what the operational wise, how it was going to work out, how the deliveries were going to work out, how the pickups and everything. So it helped me fine tune a lot of things, but then it kept growing. And
Okay.
then I think the biggest struggle I've had lately, which I've finally hired two people, but hiring has been a big one this year. I
Oh gosh.
been
Yeah.
looking for people for 4 months,
Wow.
and everybody in the restaurant business can tell you that they're looking for people and we don't know where they are. They probably have already moved to a different area because of COVID. And
Yeah.
but no, I'm lucky I have a chef now. And he is he has been my friend for over 10 years. So I actually approached him. I didn't even know that he would be interested. I was thinking, hey, do you have other friends that you know in the service industry? And he said, well, no, but I might be interested myself. So it was a great.
Hmm. Oh, Sarah, did we lose you? We might have just lost you. Okay, everyone. So we might have just lost Sarah. Fingers crossed that she comes back. But this is a great opportunity. I was going to invite the crowd, invite the audience to ask questions as well. So if you have any questions for Sarah, definitely type them in the chat. Or if you want to just jump on, raise your hand. It's one of the prompts at the bottom of the screen, and then you can ask her your question yourself. But feel free to either type it in the chat or, like I said, raise your hand and we will get your question asked. And we're just going to see if Sarah gets herself back. I think she got, yeah, looks like she got bopped off the internet. So we're gonna get, oh, I think
All
she's
right.
back. Okay,
Yeah.
there we
Sorry.
go. Okay. No
Okay.
worries. So I think the last thing we heard, oh, you were talking about your friend that was a chef. Yes. Oh, I think we're losing you again, Sarah. Okay, so we're gonna give Sarah a chance to kind of um, get her connection together. So in the meantime, I do want to let you all know that we do have another Beyond the Idea coming up next month on it's the beginning of next month, September 6th, I believe is the date. While Sarah gets, we just let Sarah in. There she is down there. So as she's connecting to audio. But again, this is with Nitzia David of Nitzia's Design, which is a flower design company. There's Sarah. Okay, great. So yeah, so that's next week. I'll tell you all more about that at the end. But I think, Sarah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I had to switch to my phone because I don't think AT&T wants to cooperate with me today.
Okay, no worries. We are flexible. Yes. Okay. So you were telling us about your friend that was the chef.
Yes.
And
Yes.
hiring. Yes.
So yeah, you may know him. He, as many people I've met in this industry, I met them at Whole Foods, but his name is Michael Kanda, and he's really creative. He's worked at Fidel's, he's worked at the Pantry, he's worked at Arkansas Fresh, he's worked at Butcher Company when it used to be in Argenta, opened up a few restaurants in Memphis, and
Oh, wow.
he hears this, but he there was that show from Gordon Ramsay that came in 20 hours from Hell and Back.
Yes,
And
yes.
there was that one restaurant in Momel where the chef left and then they hire a new chef. So he's the new chef that he hired.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So that was really awesome that he was interested. Like, wow, this
Yeah,
person with all this experience, you know.
no, was it was great because I love his cooking. He also loves to cook like, clean food, healthy. He does also like to do Asian inspired meals. I mean, because he's also been a butcher, he also knows how to really utilize the whole animal. So he knows to
Mm,
more things that, your average cook would. And again, he's great. I'm very,
this
very
is
thankful.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, okay, so the hiring process, like, how did you know, okay, it's time for me to hire people? And like, because I've heard lots of business owners say, I mean, it just takes so much time to hire people. Sometimes that's why they end up just deciding to do everything themselves. The financial part of hiring people, sometimes it's just very scary, but we all know that in order to scale, hiring people is part of that process. So how did you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be very honest with yourself and, first, okay, look at your sales or if they're continuously going up, you can't do everything yourself and do it right. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's and then the other thing is really as a business owner, as much as you'd love to do everything yourself, like I love cooking, it's great. But I also know that my time might be better spent doing marketing or doing the business side to it and hire an expert that can actually do, that somebody that has worked in the kitchen. Again, because I've never worked in the kitchen before, this was me learning everything, somebody that can be more
Mhm.
I can. And I also think collaboration, I mean, I think when you hire someone else, I mean, now the creative process has been so different because, I mean, before it was just me coming up with the recipes and validating with myself
Uh-huh.
as friends and all, but it's not the same when you have somebody else that's interested in making what you're making, and um, just that creative process just flows so much better because we can toss ideas back and forth, and it's just good to have somebody else,
Yeah. I think that's great. I absolutely agree. I think it's also really scary for solopreneurs to kind
Mhm.
of make that jump because it feels like, well, these are some of the things that I've just in conversation with
Yeah,
other entrepreneurs that is it still yours? Can that creative process be as vibrant as your own creative process? Just being able to trust somebody else with your baby.
yeah.
you know?
I mean, 100%. I understand that. So I think, well, one, it is hard, because you want things a certain way, but I think in order to grow, you also like need to collaborate with others and expand, your vision, and also I think you have to be very particular about that first person you hire, because like you said, I mean, that person could either make it or break it. Now I'm having somebody else that's like also cooking, and if something, like there's a meal that somebody receives and it's awful, you only have that one chance. They're not going to come back to me and say, hey, I had a terrible meal, but I'm going to order again, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I think it depends on who you hire and like knowing what you're hiring them for, not just to hire.
Hmm.
I mean, like, or making sure that what skills do I need right now and what help could I use in what areas. And I think like that was important for me to figure out. I knew I was exhausted from, cooking all weekend. And I wasn't as fast because it was just me. If you want to do
Yeah.
everything, it just takes so much time. And, I think and I think hiring is also scary. And I can understand that because, well, one, you're now responsible for somebody else's livelihood, right? And then
Hmm.
two, the government doesn't easy to fill out all this paperwork. Uh, very thankful for the ASBTDC because I was able to reach out to them and they now have an HR specialist. And poor woman, I probably wore her out, but why do I need this form? And what do I need to do? Workers' comp, like you need it after 3 employees, or do I count myself as that employee? Just questions that you need somebody to guide you through all that because it is very complicated to hire somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, and I think that's great. It's like remembering that the resources are out there, that, there's different organizations that can assist you with those questions. And I think that's a really big part. And oftentimes, again, as small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, first year entrepreneurs, you forget that you have these resources available. You don't have to know all the things, you know?
Yes, I think that's a big lesson. You don't have to be everything, and I think that that's part of burnout, and I feel like if you listen to all this, like I like to listen to a lot of podcasts,
Hmm.
people that have had this great careers or they have started a business, like I have, and like now they're at the end where they already sold it and they make so
Yeah.
much money or whatever. But they
Yeah.
go back, like, you need to be able to learn from others. You need to be able to also, as much as like the small business is your baby, you also need to be able to like learn to trust others because you can't grow just being yourself, just being by yourself.
Yeah. And it kind of piggybacks into the question I was going to ask next is what advice would you give culinary entrepreneurs, people that are interested in, in kind of doing something similar to what you've done?
Yeah, I think make sure you really look into what's out there, right? Like, is your idea really innovative, or is there somebody else already doing that? I think the hardest challenge is operation wise. How do you want to do it? Is it going to be like your own establishment, or is it going to be like me, that we're in a ghost kitchen, right? Uh,
Mhm.
out like, okay, look in advance, like what does the schedule look like? What process are you having? And also make sure you know how much money you need to invest in it, because it's whatever number you think, maybe multiply it by three.
Yeah. Yes.
Ever less than you think it will be. Always is going to be more,
Yeah.
because, I mean, starting out, I bought a fridge to go in the kitchen, and then, I needed to have a pickup partner. So I bought another fridge. And then, we're talking about smoothies. So it's like, okay, well, then we need more freezer space. So I bought a freezer, so it's also like knowing that, yeah, you're going to have that initial investment, but you should always have cash flow for anything that were to happen in the future.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's huge. I mean, that's one of the things that we provide here. One of the many things we provide here at Rocket Lab is that education on that capital, like what type of capital you might need to grow your business, and then also access to it. Because, what we found is that a lot of people, that is the bottleneck, is the access to the capital. And so kind of leads me into the next question. What have been some of the challenges that you've experienced in kind of starting and growing your business? And even particularly, have you experienced any challenges that you think are attributed to you being a woman or being a woman of color?
Well, I think as being a woman of color, mostly woman of color, I think there is a lack of representation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think you see many grown businesses. You see new businesses now with more diversity, but I don't know that you see a lot of grown businesses that um, have women of color leading it. I will say I did have a really great mentor in the kitchen, Matcha. I don't know if you met her from Cheesecake Point.
Yes, yes, we just went to her grand opening. Yes,
Yeah,
she's
I'm
awesome.
excited for her in her new place. It's so awesome, because she's been there. She's seen all the challenges that you grow as a business. But she was very helpful, when I needed help to fill out some forms and all that. She was always there, even just to listen. So, but I think like if there were more women too, that could help as mentors, because I think, even if you try to like look for mentors, there's not many women out there that are running culinary businesses. I mean, I can think of a few, but I don't know that there's that many yet, And
Yeah.
then I would say another new one that's in the business too now is Samantha from Certified Pies.
Ah, yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
love people from Certified Pies too. But that and that what I do like about the kitchen is that it is so diverse. There it's a different environment for sure, but we're all but the thing is that we're all small businesses that are new, so there's not a grown business except for Miss Matcha, but she just left and had her own restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is a really huge part, is that, and that's one of the gaps that we've noticed here, is that, just that mentorship, that like, okay, this is someone that looks like me, is maybe experienced the same things that I've experienced, that can help me navigate this, this playing field here. So
Yeah, definitely. And I'll say as a woman too, what's hard to mostly being a mom, which I always go back to it because I mean I am a mom, but
yeah.
always get that guilt too, and it's if I feel like my dream is like having also like a group of like female entrepreneurs that meets like once a month, and we all talk about what struggles you're going through, to see like, are you struggling? Because if I look at your Instagram right now, it doesn't look like you're struggling. So
Right. I think that would be awesome. I
yeah,
agree.
I I would like for it to be a little bit more real, where we all are acknowledging what struggles are in the business, and it's not all like, oh yeah, well everything's going great, all my sales are great, or it could be like, hey, I had hard time like filling out all this paperwork or getting a new person. Can you help me and figure out like if I did everything correctly? And again, that goes back to mentorship too.
Yeah, yeah. I think I mean you've hit it on the nail. Just being able to have a space where you can be open and honest and get that assistance, so it makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah, I just feel like now with Instagram and social media, people are just trying to just keep it all together, that you really look at other businesses or look at other people too. And I fall myself into that too, because I guess I don't share as much as I could. But that's one of the things with social media. I work with the girls from Social on Tap, and they're like, oh, you need to be on video, and do lives. And it's so terrifying to me to do a video. Like, I could do this because it's a conversation,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I can't get the video and like just do a live. I guess at some point I will, but
I understand. And I mean, I think that's a really important thing to talk about also is, like you said, being able to talk about like what things feel comfortable, what things don't, and how to
yeah,
get more comfortable with those things. And then even, understanding the different platforms and what's really viable for your particular business, because a lot of small businesses begin and think they have to be everywhere and they have to do all the things.
yeah,
And with you, you have that, you have the mentorship of the Social on Tap girls, and they're like, okay, this is the next step for you. So I would imagine it provides a little bit of comfort to know, okay, when I'm ready for this next step, this is a good next step for me.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I have things on the list that I'm like, okay, when I feel comfortable about being on live, I will do it.
Yeah.
But and it's like, how much are you willing to put yourself out there for your business? Because you are the face of your business, but how much is that gonna be a part of it?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a big thing for small businesses also, because in the beginning, I mean, I think it kind of piggybacks to that thing of like letting someone else in on your baby, like helping you to grow your
Yeah,
baby. It's like, well, if I'm the face of my business, how long am I the face of my business? Does my business grow without me being the face of it? And I think that's always that, because in the beginning you are doing all the things and you become the face of your business.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Where the business and where you start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we're kind of getting to the end of our hour, but I always like to ask, what achievements do you feel most proud of? I want to end on a high note.
Well, opening in a pandemic. Well, first of all, my daughter, that's
Yes.
that's my achievement. I think opening in a pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, even though I didn't know what the future would bring, and I think, and this is something I was talking to a different group of entrepreneurs, that I feel that it's really hard to validate yourself at times. And at times you're thinking like, should I be doing this? Am I crazy? Like, is- should I just quit this? you know? So I think it's, even though like I always will have those struggles, but I think it's like continuing on and being able to transform the business as the customers ask you to. I think being
Hmm.
moment that you stop transforming and stop adding new things, I think that then it becomes stale. So
Hmm.
I'm just happy that we've been able to continuously do different things and add more products and not and being able to take stuff that doesn't work out either, and just not
Yeah.
take it. It's just more of, well, we tried that idea, but it didn't work. So let's just move on to another one. So I think like just that has really being owning a small business has taught me a lot of not taking things personally and just continue on and just try to be better. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. And any future goals that you have in mind right now, or future plans we can, expect from Bella's Kitchen?
Oh God, there's just so many. It's like down and do a roadmap on what do I see. I mean, I see what the end goal is, which I don't know that I'm ready to share it, but
Mhm.
I see what I envision this business becoming. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things coming, but I'll need to put it in the roadmap. For right now, it's what we've already put out there, which, it's the smoothies and all that stuff. But it's really like, like we touched on that earlier, it's more than just being a service for more than being a product that's convenient. It's also about family, about
Mhm.
able to share uh, those values, and being able to help other families and parents, that may be struggling with time and in trying to make it into more of an experience than just like, okay, here's your food, bye, I'm leaving.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's so cool. I feel like the sky's the limit of how you could grow in that aspect of your business. So that's really exciting. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and I'm just, and I think most of my customers know that I'm always open for ideas, so I think that that's also been helpful because, sometimes like they'll reach out to me and be like, yeah, I don't know if I like that, but uh, so I think we'll continue growing with different things. Some things I may just not know until here in a year, um, but I hope right now we're just serving Little Rock. Hope to expand. The cities will be serving.
Very cool. Well, that is great. And any last bit of advice you would give for the business owners watching or that will be watching?
I think really take advantage of all the resources that are out there, like the Rocket Lab. And you were telling me about how you're going to have the incubators in there, and you're going to have, different things for entrepreneurs. The ASBTDC, they're great resource they even look at the market research for you. I mean, they
Mhm.
help figure out, like I said, with the HR specialist, like who should I be, or not who should I be hiring, but like what forms do I need? What do I need to fill out? What I don't need to ask in an interview, because we're all like learning as we go, and you cannot be an expert on everything. But I think there's so many resources here in Little Rock that you can look. Um, there's Women Run, and they also have a business series that they invite like small business to like for you to ask them questions if you're looking to open a business. There's just so many resources that I don't think that people tap into. And I think that can lead you into going into a business blind, and then you'll be blindsided.
Yeah, yeah, that is excellent advice. I agree. And I just want to thank you so much for like taking your time. Really quick, I do want to invite the chat, if anybody has any questions for Sarah, now is a perfect time to ask them. We still have about a couple minutes. But in these couple of minutes, while you guys are getting your questions in there, I do want to tell you all about the upcoming event. We have Nitzia David of Nitzia's Designs. That's going to be on September 7th, not the 6th. So it's going to be on the 7th, another Tuesday, another awesome business, another awesome entrepreneur. But definitely you can go to our website, which is cows.org/rock-it-lab to sign up for that one. And yeah, just again, I want to thank you, Sarah, so much for this conversation. I'm inspired. I'm going to be in touch because I'm going to need your services soon. So,
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. It was great connecting with you again. And this was a really fun conversation.
yeah, same here. And just again, thank you everybody for joining us, and definitely make plans to join us for our next one. And make sure if you know any entrepreneurs that are looking for really in-depth help, encourage them to sign up for our incubator program. That's available on our website as well. Like Sarah said, there's so many resources available. Ours is one of them, and we really want as many entrepreneurs as possible to take advantage, whether you're in the idea phase, you're in the scale up and grow phase. We can assist you. So thanks everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and I think we're good. Were you gonna say something, Sarah?
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye everyone.